Hey everyone, you're listening to the Uncommon Commander podcast. I'm your host, Cole.
Hey, Cole? What the fuck? What are you up to, babes?
Quinn, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm supposed to be interviewing Lara about Artisan EDH. What the fuck?
Yeah, babes, we're doing that together on the Heroes Played Vibe Check podcast. Run the intro again.
Fucking go-
Hello, I am also here.
Hell yeah, what the fuck is up, gamers?
No, I'm supposed to be assuming control of the intro. You're ruining it. No, I'm kidding. You're listening to the Heroes Played Vibe Check, the podcast where I apparently sound like an airliner pilot. Thanks to my brother for calling me out like this. I'm here with the lovely Empress Quinn. What's up, Quinn?
Hey, gamers. We're back at it again. We've got our guest in the studio, Lara. Hey, say what's up.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome, and thank you for finally being able to come on after being like, hey, do you want to come to the Uncommon Commander podcast? You're like, eventually, and then I said, get fucked, and not doing it anymore, and now you're here.
Now I'm here. Fancy how that works. It's great to be here. Long-time listener, wild to actually be here.
We're extremely hyped to have you. We love to see the posting that you be doing on Twitter. You're extremely in-depth artisan reviews of like every set. The passion comes through for the format in all of your posts, and we like to see it.
Also, the cool tech of cracking the only available fetch lands in Artisan that gets you Mystic, what the fuck is that card called? Mystic Sanctuary? So you can get that top deck. So you can get that top deck Aetherize.
Crack Flooded Plains for Mystic Sanctuary, top deck Aetherize, future sight it off with Johan, wipe your combat.
Oh no, not the main deck Aetherize, and not the way to put it back on top of your library.
Look,
killing me.
I love this. So yeah, as usual, even with our guests, everyone, let's just preface it. This is going to be a long episode. We all know it. You know it. So you're in here for the long haul.
Yeah, babes, lock the fuck in.
We're going in for 2 hours at least, is my guess. We're not guaranteeing anything, but anyway. First things first, we gotta introduce a new Quinn-ism into the local lexicon. You weenie, if you're weird about white border cards, you are weak and will not survive the winter.
Yeah, you were being extremely weird about white border lands, and I'm just like, my guy, fucking...
And I will continue to be weird about white border cards in general, because they're ugly as sin. They're ugly as sin. They're terrible. It assaults the eyes. It's like looking at light mode on any application on your phone.
And that's why you're weak and will not survive the winter. Where do you stand on white border lands and the like, Lara?
I like them. I like them for really meta reasons, though. That's not just tilting people. I really don't like looking for lands, so if they're white bordered, I get to shuffle them out of my deck quicker when I fetch them.
Okay, there is some meta decision making here. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool tech.
It will not affect my decision making in putting lands in my deck, but it's actually that's pretty awesome.
That's fine. You don't have to put white border lands in your deck, but when I play my white border islands from like Revised or whatever, and you're like, what is this? And I'm like, directly to bed with you.
Everyone knows the real ones are using the gold bordered basics from the old
gold border
decks.
basics are so fucking sick. Oh, I love those.
Getting gold border, whatever. I actually have a bit of a tangent before we go on that. Years ago, me and my friends were at a local game store, and, you know, cards get thrown away sometimes, and then some people of various characters will show up with said box from the garbage can and be like, hey, I'd like to trade these in for money. And they're like, well, we don't know where you got these, but we'll take a look at it. And this one person walks in and they have like a box full of like gold border stuff, period. And I think there were like I'm just trying to think of like super sick, awesome gold border stuff. I think there were like ancient tombs, maybe.
Oh hell yeah!
And a few other things, and the people at the store were like,
my favorite printing of Dark Ritual is gold border 2, the Rebecca Gay art.
So yeah, they I can't remember exactly if they paid the guy or not, because they were like, I don't know, this guy's pretty shady, we don't know. And I think they were like, we'll give you like $20. They were like, lol, Lamau, do any of you guys want to poke through this? We're like, yeah, and I don't think I remember taking anything.
Oh, you should have snapped up some gold border ancient tombs, babes. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, well, oh God, don't I know it. But anyway, tangent aside, it's time to get into the community stuff, as we do. There was stuff coming in through Twitter and through Spotify this week, and we gotta go the fuck back to, like, episode 5, because I forgot to bring up the Lenny Woolley question for an MTG New Year's resolution comment. And it was supposed to be on the Benoit episode. So sorry to both Benoit and Lenny. May your blood feud reign eternal. Lenny says here about the New Year's resolution that we're also tracking games this year and finally organizing the collection. You all have no idea how powerful I would be if I knew where my cards were. And I feel that. My cards are severely disorganized.
I try and keep a meticulous record of all of the decks that I have, but as far as the things that are not in decks, that is just not gonna be organized anytime soon, and remembering where I have everything is quite the challenge. So we gotta figure something out.
I at least would suggest just trying to at least get things organized by, like, card type in its color. Maybe that's it, but...
Yeah, I gotta get one of them, the white boxes with the rows and all of that. You know the one I'm talking about.
The shoe boxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a method.
I was gonna be like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know Barnes & Noble? I do that, but with Magic cards. My collection is sorted by what the card does in primary function. No, it's worse. It's sorted by primary function and then subsorted by sub-functions, color, and then I just tag them all from there with a nice little label maker. So the boxes are great.
Go in a box, and card draw goes in a box, and kill spells go in a box. Okay, I see.
It makes it great to put decks together, but my box of shame is just a large box that just says modal on it, and I don't know what to do with it yet.
That nearly fucking took me out. I'm trying to take a sip of water, and you're like my box of shame, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, don't I know that? I need to get back to organizing, but I still got stuff that I bought from the local game store of I thought this was cool or knew that I needed to get a copy, and it's just in its own dedicated box, but that box is quickly losing space. I'm like, I need to, I don't know. Anyway, Magic New Year's resolutions has been hard this year, y'all. That's all I'll say.
I've been interacting on the stack more, speaking of, and also shutting down stack interaction, which is also just as good as interacting on the stack I've found. So I'm doing well on that. And as far as the other spells, have not cast a Worst Fears or a Dance with Calamity yet. I gotta get on that.
What were my resolutions? Play more counterspells? I can't remember. I have been doing that at least. Yeah.
Mine was just play more games, which I'm doing great at.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Side product, New Year's resolution, get less salty, which is antithetical to play more games.
You gotta ride that precarious line between the two.
It's rough. I know you can do it, though. I have faith in you.
We'll reach that nirvana someday of finding balance in both. So, moving on to the actual question on Spotify, which any one of our lovely listeners can submit things to. We got 5 submissions this week. The question was, have you made any decks that occupy the same concept or the same strategy? Based off my Eisenhorn / Piper Wright comment from last episode. We Draco Lucian says, my favorite archetype is Voltron, and I've built many in my years of playing. I'm always trying to approach it from a different axis now. Valduke, Voltron/tokens, or Tetsuo, Grixis, Voltron/Spellslinger deck. Which, yeah.
Those are definitely two completely different playstyles, and both technically Voltron. Love to see it.
The new Tetsuo that does, like, equipment is very cool, and I don't see it a whole lot. I think I've maybe seen it a couple times.
Yeah, I think Draco's the only one that I've seen personally.
That's the one, like, Draco was the top of the list for me. Laura,
Mm-hmm.
what about you? What are there any decks you got in circulation right now that kind of occupy a frighteningly similar game plan?
Game plan? Yeah. My decks of shame, which is on the table.
Yes.
I'm looking at. They're all neatly
Going back
stacked in
to
Ultra Pro
the
boxes.
shame pile.
They basically all boil down into I am either gumming up the board with tokens, I'm gumming up the board with creatures you will not trade favorably with, think like Baleful Strix, or I am just playing hard tempo control, and I want to tell you when you're allowed to do things.
Killing me here. I do love casting spells on target Empress Quinn's turn.
Yeah, see, that's why beyond my Grand Abolisher bullshit, why I'm constantly Grand Abolisher posting these days.
Yeah, I can understand it. I've committed too many crimes.
I've had it with blue mages thinking they can have a say in what goes on my turn. My turn's my turn. Mind your business.
I don't know about blue, but red and maybe some black spells, for sure. But yeah, you do gotta protect your turn sometimes beyond just like Hexproof and Shroud. Hey, what about Lightning Greaves? Moving on.
Anyway,
Claire is back this week, with just the simply all XD. Like the 8-ish decks that I have in paper, all of them are some shade of aggro, but playing around with Kindred, Spellslinger, silly little guys, etc. It keeps it fresh for me and allows for different power levels. I am a filthy aggro player, and I try to put that in every color combination of deck that I'm playing with, including the Piper Wright deck that I'll be talking about later, and holy fuck, I just love
an aggro deck.
taking blue creatures and being like, all right, I'm going to combat, and everyone's like, hold up, huh? And then I'm like, here I go, blam! And they're like, what, can you not do that? And be like, look, I have counter spells in this. That is my compromise of playing blue. So, also we had Aetherize in there, so we always got to have it. Trenton says, as a sucker for a Spellslinger, I have Talrand. That was no surprise. Tura. Oh shoot. Kennerund.
You just gotta be normal. Say it with your chest. It's Tura Kennerud.
Okay. But also Kennerud. That's funny. And then plan on building that new Warlock from Thunder Junction. What new Warlock?
Great question. Probably the vampire guy.
All right, hold on. We can
say no more. I'm on it.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm like, there's gotta be that. Like, there's a few warlocks. I know that there is.
Oh, this doesn't help us. There's 6 warlocks, and they all do very different things.
Well, hold on. I'm sure. Let's put our brains together. I'm sure we can figure it out. Or is it? Well, I mean, there's also the. I mean, were there any in the commander set? I don't know.
I think it's probably Karavek the Punisher, but it could also be Giralf the Fleshright, or maybe Jisa the Hellraiser.
I feel like it's probably Karavek the Punisher is my mentality. That kind of feels like something he would do. But, we'll always be corrected, so we'll find out eventually. He also follows up with, also have an Izzet Oathbreaker that plays Saheeli, Third Path, Iconoclast, and Friends. So yeah, I can understand Spellslinger like token making shenanigans.
We love to build the same deck over and over again. I do it too.
Yeah.
I have like 5 different burn decks.
It's different this time, I swear. And then it's just you flip the color combination around and it's still the same thing.
This is my Enchantress Reanimator deck. Oh, cool. How does it win? I force cards into your hand and punish you for having cards in your hand.
Quinn, this is the 7th week in a row you presented an Owling Mine deck. Which is true, because I feel like this is the other... See, this is the one thing that I love about doing this podcast, is that we slowly start generating consistencies between each episode, and that's Bludrick posting on and off Twitter, Owling Mine, and all variants, main deck Aetherize, Benoit, and Lenny mentions. I feel like there's probably a bunch more that I can't really
there's
think
Dr. Yu and Avernus Descended. Amen.
And now developing Fallout. There we go.
Yeah, all right. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
That's our memes. Let's get to Light's mention here. I can't read the first part here.
Oh, it's very small.
For
I
the
apologize.
question, I have 2 dinosaur typo decks. I have 3 Counters Matter decks, but they all have their own niches. Small Print, Blue Owen, and Indominus Rex are all different functionality.
Yeah. Also, the thing that Light mentioned at the beginning was Peter mentioned for Mono White Border.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I wish I could just format these. I'm just going to start copying and pasting these on the freaking document. This is actually very terrible.
You're doing your best, babes.
But yeah, like, obviously, Light being the premier Indominus Rex poster.
Oh, yeah.
Is obviously right off the top. But yeah, I also know that Light is one of the most dangerous EDH players I have come to face and know. And the minute that I saw Rafine, Blue, and Owen and Indominus Rex in the same sentence, I just got like a shiver up my spine.
I do love Rafine. What a cool card.
It is a very cool card. I need to play with more connive effects. It is very cool. What's a connive kill spell? The black one with Convoke?
Lethal Scheme.
Yeah, that's a cool card.
So good.
I need to play more of that. And it got reprinted. Let's go. Who is the last commenter? Or do you want me to read this, Quinn?
I got it. Brayden with Goblin Welder strategies. While Duretti was good, Felden stuck best for me. I think he's probably my Bloodrick equivalent. Red Reanimator is peak. I live and die with the Hellkite Igniter.
Hellkite Igniter is so...
after my own heart.
So fucking cool. Oh.
Just the most hellish fire breathing. I'm gonna push that button for 4 mana or whatever and give this guy plus 15 because I've got all these shitty little artifact tokens. Hell yeah.
There was, I love Jason Chan artwork, but when I saw Hellkite Igniter on, like, a big poster, I'm like, I want that, but I couldn't get it, but it was very expensive. But also, Hellkite Igniter in foil, it looks super fucking awesome.
I was just about to look up what a foil of those goes for, because I bet it's bells.
It's cheap. It's very cheap. Also, why don't they downshift this card? This is they printed it so many times, it could totally be an uncommon printing.
I don't know.
Artisan needs its juice. Anyway.
How do you feel about that, Lara?
Is this about Hellkite Igniter?
Hellkite Igniter, yeah.
It would make my Heiko Yamazaki Artisan deck actually good, which is not something I'm ready for.
I don't think anyone would be ready. You're like, okay, Heiko Yamazaki, let me get a bunch of tiny things, Hellkite Igniter, and everyone's like, yo, hold the fuck up.
I played her over this week, and I'm like, I know how to build decks. I'm a competent deck builder. I've put this together well. And then I realized I was just playing, like, the Planeswalker Mono Red Duretti, but you don't cheat stuff into play. You have to cast it. I'm like, this deck's way less exciting. Oops.
Yeah. The Yamazaki cousins were pretty rough. And then, the white one,
Norika?
Yeah, Norika, yeah. She is a little bit more unique because the enchantments could have, like, I don't know. Her version is a little bit more exciting than Heiko, for sure. I've talked about it a few times, and it's rough out there for
also
Mono
just
Red.
Vigilance, much better keyword than Trample if you can't scale very easily.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm nodding in agreement.
So, I did ask on Twitter the other week about... Oh, actually, sorry. I take this back. Katie Combat tagged us. That was the difference.
Word? Yeah, there it is.
She asked, does Samood's Voice of Dissent pass the vibe check? Or more specifically, Katie's deck. It is a Legendary Matters deck that is filled... I was
just going to say, I have looked upon these creatures and I have seen that every fucking one of them damn near has a legendary crown, and ma'am, I am saluting.
Yeah, we have Samood Voice of Dissent as the ringleader. Good old Anzrag is back for round 2. Relia the Law Above and the War Leader. New Fallout card, Kate Cage Brawler, who comes down as a 2-mana 1/1, and as long as it's on your turn, Kate has Indestructible. And then whenever she attacks you and a defending player, each draw a card and discard a card. You put 2+1 counters on Kate if you discarded the card with the highest mana value among those cards or tied for the highest. She comes down low. And it's probably pretty easy for you to juice her up. So, yeah. There's just, Karlak, Karizev, Shipwright Raider, Jolene the Plunder Queen, Gisela Blade of Cold Knight. Like, it's just banger after banger after banger on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Every single creature in this deck's a legendary creature.
Yeah.
I think that's a no-brainer.
So, Katie, thank you for submitting, and the answer is a resounding yes.
Absolutely.
It's Vault Boy given the thumbs up. Yeah, and now for the actual question that I asked, if there were any uncommon legends, because, Lara was coming on, and I felt it was very appropriate. And just for that, Trenton and Benoit came in clutch with a bunch of submissions here. Now, Benoit, I really gotta call you out on this one. You think you could just fucking jury post again on this podcast?
Yes, I think he can.
Look, here's the thing. We did the episode at Uncommon Commander. Go watch this. Go listen to that episode. The answer is yes. Moving on. But the answer is yes.
If you get to Bloodrick post every episode, Benoit can jury post.
But Benoit can jury post on Twitter. He can't just come in here. Do it again when he's not even here.
Of course he can.
Anyway, jury passes the vibe check. Benoit's other submissions here were Thrakis, Kutzul. I don't know why I pronounced it like that. Caparakti Sunborn. And from Fallout again, Ian the Reckless with the parentheses, but watch out.
Watch out. Yeah, I'd sign off on all of these.
More specifically for Ian the Reckless being a 2-mana 2/1 human warrior. Whenever Ian attacks, if it's modified, you may have it deal damage equal to its power to you and any target. That's pretty messed up, actually. Taking 5, but dealing 5 on the attack? Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
Oh, you just give him lifelink and turn off the downside.
Yeah, exactly. You gain 10 life on the attack.
Yeah, it's sick as fuck.
And yeah, with Caparakti Sunborn being a 4-mana 4/4, whenever it attacks, you may tap 2 untapped artifacts and/or creatures you control, and if you do, discover 3. Which, yeah, discover good. Who fucking knew?
Yeah, free spell's good. More at 11. So anything that facilitates you getting that attack trigger off, and the blade does, I'd sign off on it.
And then Trenton comes in with Armix, Agar the Freezing Flame, more specifically because Agar curves in after Hero's Blade and becomes a 6/5, which will likely draw you a card every combat as long as you're hitting something that is much smaller. So yeah, that's
you
pretty
probably will, given the 3-mana 6/5 that you would be in control of. So yeah, I would say yes.
Awesome start. Kadira and Bruenor Battlehammer will hold it well. That no-brainer, especially with Bruenor Battlehammer, allowing you to pay 0 for the first equip that you activate each turn, but then also getting an additional +2 on top. So you go to an 8/5, and then you go to a 10/5 just by putting the hammer or putting the sword on Bruenor Battlehammer. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. It's pretty fucking
awesome. Like half your life total via commander damage.
I don't know. He's got hammer in the name. I'm gonna have to flavor fail that one. It's not Bruno Battlesword.
Wow.
Damn. All right.
Damn.
Well, you heard it here,
It's
gamers.
rough out there, everyone. All right.
Fails the flavor inspection. Sorry.
And then the last one here is Akawali, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan fungus. 1 black and a green for a 3/3 with Descend 4. As long as there are 4 or more permanents in your graveyard, Akawali gets +2/+2 and has Trample. And then Descend 8. If there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, it gets an additional +2, and it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. And I believe the math comes out to 11/9, I think? No, 11/7.
I think it's like 10, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the
10.
sword.
10/7, yeah. So,
Yeah.
it's pretty scary. Also, a lot of ways to just dump everything into your graveyard. It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
I don't know if you're familiar with Life from the Limb. I hear that card is like pretty good or something.
But can it be played in Artisan?
No.
No.
Yeah,
I
that
wish
sounds like
so.
a rare.
It'd be
I
great.
think there's. How does Dredge look in Artisan?
It exists. We have Dredge enablers, but we don't really have Dredge payoffs is the problem.
Mhm.
At the end
Yeah.
of the day, you're probably better just doing a Reanimator deck fairly. That said, if
Yeah,
you're
that
on
checks out.
if you're on how do you say this fungus? Awali? I'd
Akawali.
say
I think it's Akawali.
Akawali. Yeah, if you're on Akawali, Dredge makes a lot of sense. You just incidentally chuck it in and fill the bin.
Just as
Mhm.
long as you're not chucking Hero's Blade in there.
Yeah, well, you have
Ooh,
plenty of
ooh.
regrowths.
That's the you run the risk every time, but yeah.
That's when you Ewit, specifically for the Hero's Blade to prove your devotion to the podcast.
There you
Yeah! So thank you, everyone, for your submissions for this week and for reaching out. It's always greatly appreciated. We will now go to our personal vibe checks. Either one of you can start off with this.
Hell yeah. I am here to roast the first Doctor. His ass is not passing the vibe check. I have plenty of equipment in this deck that I can equip to the first Doctor and gamers, he does not give a single fuck about being equipped, because I'm constantly tapping his ass to crew the TARDIS. And we only need 2 power for that, and he's 2 power by himself. So any more power than that is basically wasted because he does not do the attacking.
No, his only job is to go get the TARDIS.
He finds the TARDIS and puts it into my hand, or he finds it from the graveyard, but either way, it's my commander's the TARDIS, and he's just there.
Wow. Could you also say the same of the actual First Doctor in the shows?
I haven't seen very much of the stuff that he's on. I have seen a couple of episodes where it's the
Crossover episodes?
Yeah, crossover episodes where that character shows up, and I'm just like, this is... I don't know about this guy.
Okay, so I've only seen the first 20 episodes of original Doctor Who, but he is absolutely scrappy. He gets in a fist fight with cavemen in his second arc. He would hold a sword.
Okay.
Damn. All right. Well,
Maybe
the more you
check that
know.
out.
It's
He
time
is
to
also
drop.
just an old man, though, so he wouldn't hold it well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's got that
Yeah.
cane. There could be a sword in there. It could be a hero's blade.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Get the sword canes going on. I love that shit.
The
I
heroes,
do
the real
love a
hero's
sword
blade.
cane.
The real hero.
Companions we found along the way.
I don't know which Doctor is holding the rapier in that hero's blade.
I think it's
Probably
either 3 or 4. I cannot remember which, though.
Someone else can let us know. How about that, Chad?
Yeah, if you know more about old
Chad, what the
weigh in.
fuck did I just say? Oh my
No,
god.
it's fine. That's how language works now. You can say Chad and be talking to, it's like the Greek chorus.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
You could, turn and talk to the chorus. You can turn and talk to the chat. It's the same thing.
Laura, what's your vibe check for this week?
Okay, so keeping up in trend of the uncommon commanders.
Excellent.
Gem Lightfoot, Sky Explorer. I adore her. She's so cool. Hot new commander from Thunder Junction. 4 mana to an Azorius. 3/3 fly and vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, draw a card. So I brewed her
neat.
immediately when she was spoiled. 1 extra card per turn is not good enough for the hard control game. Mm-hmm. But if you stick a sword on her, then you're... I believe this is another Quinnism, but then you're meaningfully impacting the game through combat.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. This card is a card I would want to put in a Wrath Capuchin Ship's Mage deck, which also passes the 5-check IMO. That was the one for this week. Mm-hmm. But considering how the design for Limited was for Thunder Junction with all the plot stuff, it just seems really neat to just be able to be like, I'm plotting this turn and then drawing a card and passing the turn, probably with like, maybe like a control spell or something.
Mm-hmm. That's how I envision that playing out.
They're BFFs, holding hands, flying while exploring in the sunset.
Oh, that's so adorable.
4 mana 3/3s grabbing hands with flying and being like, I love being a quote-unquote squishy subtype. Because scouts and wizards are not supposed to be like this fucking scrappy, and both of them are 3/3s. It's freaking great. And then finally, my submission for this week, because I was like, I probably was going to see it from Lara, because I think we've both been looking at the new Crom. Crom Violent Cacophony, which is also another uncommon legend from the set. A 4 mana 2/3 with flying zombie horror. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1 counter on Crom, Violent Cacophony, and draw a card. Seems cool.
Big.
No notes.
Yeah, big.
Yeah. Hero's Blade, 5/5. Cast 2 more spells, 6/6. Continue the pain train. Love it.
Yeah, babes, we're going to fucking Crombat. We're drawing cards about it.
Crombat. Welcome to Crombat, the sequel, where we don't give a fuck if you're drawing cards and we're casting all the spells, including on your turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do look forward to seeing decks around this Crom. That is it for this week's Vibe Checks. And now it's time for content. What's going on in Content Land for you two?
Why don't you start us off, Lara?
Yeah. I enjoy watching the EDHX podcast, and their most recent video touched upon a theme I very much agree with, which it was design trends we love, but they went down basically... It was a love letter to defending what people complain about in terms of restricting people's triggers. Yeah, so they're going on and on about how once per turn triggers and sorcery speed limitations are good for the game. And I believe Dana said it, but he basically said when it's easy to combo, it doesn't matter. It's just kind of boring. And yeah, I'm right there. Crime is a great example of this. Once you could do unlimited crimes, it's a little weird and it gives me a headache, but it's possible. But that turns every single crime card into just an infinite outlet, and that's boring. You don't commit crimes to commit infinite crimes. You commit crimes to make crimes that are worthy of a headline in a game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like killing a Mother of Ruins in a small village themed deck because she slighted you the one time.
Yeah, that's a crime for sure.
This is me admitting to committing heinous crimes against mom. Anyway, but yeah, I listened to this episode too. And as someone who is starting to see like the uptick in trend of them actively designing those types of cards. So one of the things is that like, I think even Benoit agreed with this, and he's a freaking game designer. So I feel like he fucking knows what he's talking about. But when you have a bunch of unchecked garbage that comes out of Magic the Gathering for the last few years, including the fire design that was coming out of like original
I feel like calling it unchecked is a little...
How many cards have been banned in Standard in the last 5 years?
That doesn't mean it's not checked. Like, they do the amount of testing that they're capable of doing, but there's simply not as many reps that you can do with the size of team that you have compared to the entire Magic the Gathering player base. Like, of course, these fucking nerds are going to find something rude that they didn't catch.
Yeah. But I do like the design trend changes because it allows you to look at a card and be like, okay, but what can I do with this to maximize what it is capable of within like this context. However, in the case of that 2 mana enchantment for Murders at Karlov Manor that allows you to play the 2 power creatures off the top of your library, they didn't need the ones. It didn't need the restriction, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Sorry, what was the name of that enchantment, Lara?
It's, I just remember what it does. It lets you future sight 2 power creatures. What is it?
Oh, yeah.
Gather the something another.
Yeah. I know it's got...
Something about players?
It's got that art where Aurelia brought
Assemble the players.
Girls.
Yeah, assemble the players, yeah.
There we go.
It didn't need the restriction of only doing it once each turn.
That's the art with Aurelia holding Massacre Girl on a leash.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about it this episode. I feel like too many other people have made their comments on that.
I have a defense of this restriction.
Yeah.
It's basically the decks that this wants to go in is going to be like hatebears.deck, and the last thing you want hatebears.deck to do is just spit out 5 hate bears because their top decks are godly.
100%.
You know what I just realized? You could also play like eggs with like ornithopters, and then you just cast them for 0.
Yeah, like, in order for them to make this a 2-cost card.
Fine. Fine. I understand why they put the restriction on. I just still don't like it because it's the mono-white version of this effect.
Green-white elf ball storm deck?
Okay, we're moving on. We need to stop this. Anyway, my final comment on the design trends we love thing is that I do love the salty tears of power gamers who cry whenever they see those that line of text.
Yeah, those tears are pretty delicious.
What's going on with you, Quinn?
I am slurping up the deluge of Magic the Gathering Thunder Junction pre-con videos that people are putting out, the like a gameplay videos.
Mm-hmm.
Been watching the Spike Feeders doing their like series of 4 with the different builds for each of them. Enjoyed the goodness, I've watched all of them.
And there's probably more coming out still.
Yeah, there will be more coming out. But yeah, it's a good time seeing what all those cards do. I was initially like, I guess seeing all of them in action really like cements your feelings on some cards one way or another. Like Felix 5 Boots, I was originally tilted that he was not in anything that had red mana. And actually seeing him in play, I was just like, okay, I get it now. And I hope that somebody out there is building the pure Cypher deck that he wants to be so badly.
Yeah.
And he's got wards so he can hold all of those Cypher spells and you're a little bit more protected against removal. Like, I like to see all of that, and maybe I'll put that together myself where it's just like spells Voltron basically, and Felix is just wrecking you with all of these spells that I cast every turn. And we've got like a Shark Typhoon or whatever, so I can make the sharks when we cast those spells, because you cast the copies.
You cast the copies, yeah. Get like hidden strings and like untap 2 of your lands on a contact.
Yeah, exactly. Every Cypher spell. All of them.
All of them. Awesome. Yeah. Stab Harmonicon.
Yeah, it's a combat damage trigger that you do again. You stab them and then you get the thing twice. Stab Harmonicon.
Oh,
E2 Felix.
Yes.
He's just like me, for real, for real. Felix 5 Boots, what a freaking magic card. Alright, I'm just gonna barrage through this, because some of this is pretty simple and straightforward. Spellify. I don't know why I haven't talked about it until now, but it's been a project from Commander's Herald that Jake Fitzsimons made and been working on for the last few months. And it's a great way to test your knowledge on very popular Commander Magic the Gathering cards. And then you also realize how you don't fucking know the cards well enough. And it has been an exercise being like, oh yeah, I know this card in one guess, no problem. And then you accidentally already start typing before you open up the prompt to type in the answer, and then I'm just a buffoon. And then other times you get the April Fool's one, and you're just like, the fuck is this card? I don't know. And then it shows up, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? On April Fool's, you get me like this with an Infinity card? Yeah.
Oh, I just got that was on April Fool's. I'm an idiot. That one frustrated me to no end.
I was livid, and then I'm like, Jake, what the fuck is this? He's like, it's April Fool's, and I'm like, fine, you get a pass, but I'm still mad. But yeah, Spellify is great. Go take a look at that. Ever since I was introduced to Maulhound through the video of you being on Shuffle Up and Play, Quinn, I've actually decided to like watch some of his videos. Turns out he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, dude.
And anyway, his short video on the new Obeka was just really funny. He doesn't miss when it comes to that shit. It's really funny. And the second last thing is that episode of the Beacon of Creation podcast that I was on the other week. Mm-hmm. It's out. The editor trimmed everything down, so I sound like a fucking I don't know what to describe it. I just sound great. I was like, damn, is that what podcasts sound like when you trim down the fat? And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that, because otherwise these episodes would only be an hour long, and we can't have that.
Roast us, yeah.
And then I also
in shambles.
And then I also recently guested on the Brewer's Choice kind of sub show over on Brewed or Screw It with Cody and Laz. Don't know when that episode's coming out, probably sometime next month or maybe even afterward. But it was a very long discussion. They were interviewing me on my history with Magic, and then also hashtag Ledger posting. So an extended discussion, and also me just starting the episode with being like, Laz, you motherfucker, you and your treasure bullshit, let me show you what blood tokens do. And he's like, oh, goddamn, the episode's only just started. Yeah, it's a good time. So, the link
right out the gate with that energy.
Beacon of Creation link will be in this episode, and then whenever that episode with Cody and Laz comes out, I'll put it in a future episode. And then, I don't know, this is even worth talking about. For whatever reason, mass land destruction has been coming up on Twitter and other content creator discussions, and I'm like, no, stay away from me.
I have played against a player who used a mass land destruction spell, and it was fine. I died immediately the next turn to their large, cruel Somnophage.
That would do it. Nice. What do you think about mass land destruction, Lara?
So, I mostly build commander decks for my family's meta.
Okay, yeah.
One of my brother loves Armageddon. So, we have had Atalis hit Armageddons many a time as a win con. I think mass land destruction's fine. I think you need to be able to accept that. Sorry to put it. I think you should, be able to read the room with it, though.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, yeah.
I've definitely been tilted when I face a Windgrace player. I'm like, well, I could kill the Windgrace, but what does one Windgrace turn mean? And then they immediately yokel hops the table, and you're like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Holy shit. Oh yeah, also, yokel hops doesn't hit planeswalkers.
People keep thinking that this mass land destruction is the answer to unchecked ramp, and I'm just like, you didn't beat them the first time in that race. You will not win the second time, and also they want you to do this so that they can cast their Splendid Reclamation and trigger their Lotus Cobras and
get back in the game.
Yeah. Anyway,
I want to give a shout out though to an underrepresented piece of mass land destruction, which is Catastrophe. It's an old card, 4 white. It's modal. You got 2 modes. Mode 1, destroy all lands. Mode 2, destroy all creatures. Choose 1. That's it. It's great. It's beautiful. You cast it if you're ahead to win. You cast it if you're behind to not lose. I don't know why you'd ever want to play Armageddon over it.
Huh. Oh, damn.
Much to think about, actually.
Maybe I'll blow up all the lands.
Maybe as a treat. If given
extra
the choice.
Spicy if you're on Selesnya with a bunch of dorks, because then you just keep casting spells anyway.
Yeah. Well, I did not know that was a card, but now I do know.
Oh, no foil available yet? Damn.
What are you talking about? This card? This fucking card's from Urza's Saga. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I didn't know it was from Urza's Saga when we started talking about it.
They
and then
put
I got
it on
there
the list too? Wow, alright.
Yeah.
This is... Wow.
Alright, so reprint Catastrophe, and I want a bling printing in Surge foil if possible, but also a regular foil would be fine. A Shooting Star foil, if you're gonna not do the Surge foil, I think is ideal for me.
We are once again manifesting things that probably shouldn't exist.
Yeah, just dump all of that in the middle of a summoning circle surrounded by the candle emojis, and we'll be good.
Oh my god. Magic the Gathering is such a great game, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and that is it for content for this week. You know, besides, like, I don't know, just watch or listen to your Magic content of choice. I guess one last mention. The Bullcast. It's not every day that you listen to Mike Carosa lose his fucking mind over a story. So honestly, that part of that episode, if the previous episode was them just going absolutely crazy, and being absolutely chaotic, and then this one is just Mike losing his goddamn mind over the story, it was fucking awesome. So go listen to that when anyone gets the chance to.
Yeah, it's a good time over there. They have fun.
They do. Games and brews. What's going on with you two?
Great question. I guess I'll start here. Hey, remember the War Doctor?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm.
I really like that card. However, people have emotions when you put a laser in the command zone, and as such, I have switched the commander of that deck to the first Doctor and Clara Oswald. I pretty much only play the deck as that because it, just like, I can't handle the aggro that putting the War Doctor in my command zone draws. I don't have the, like, propagandas or the protection spells or all of that, so I'm just like, all right, we'll put him in the 99, we'll run something a tiny bit less threatening, and the deck has always been about finding the TARDIS because she's the most efficient way to put time counters on the War Doctor anyway, so we just cut out the middleman, sort of, and put the TARDIS in the command zone. So we've been playing that, and then we made a couple of swaps to that synergize better with the game plan of it being a Cascade deck. Like, one of the things that really cut me to my soul to do was cut Atali Primal Storm from the deck.
Whoa.
So, hang on, hear me out. It was so that I could play Aurora Phoenix in that slot instead.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's the same casting cost, but you get the Cascade when you cast Aurora Phoenix, and whenever you cast a Cascade spell, you can return the Aurora Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I get this repeatable beater, this source of Cascade that I can play outside of the TARDIS and put the counters on it with the first Doctor's trigger. So we did that, and we're basically just treating the War Doctor as a win condition in the 99, along with cards like Quintorius, Canned, the Planeswalker, and Passionate Archaeologist, the background that does burn damage on cast from exile. We are also playing Blood Moon in the deck finally. Gave people plenty of warning and time to get their affairs in order and make sure they were playing enough basics, and if they're not doing that at this point, then they get got. That's on them. # Blood Moon Rises.
It also, don't forget, it has the hidden text. It brings back all the bokoblins that died in your last play session.
It does do that, yeah. I don't think I have any bokoblins in this deck, but I'll be sure to take advantage of that when the next Legend of Zelda Secret Lair drops.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, okay, that is the next thing on the manifesting list is Legend of Zelda. I mean, I'll take a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom Secret Lair.
Yeah, I think that would be so sick.
That'd be so neat. And then we can find out once and for all if Link passes the Hero's Blade 5 check.
Oh, we know he passes the Hero's Blade 5 check. He does
can't
it every
not.
Game. The Hero of Time is always going to pull a Master Sword from the stone.
If he had nothing to do with equipment, I'd be like, what are you even doing? Okay, Lara, what's up with you?
Okay, so I actually got a really cool little segue with Quinn talking about the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Okay. The Outlaws of Thunder Junction Uncommon Commanders have been an absolute trip to brew. Because I've brewed a lot of Magic decks, an embarrassingly high count. It's in the hundreds per my Moxfield listing.
Nice.
But I'm like, I know how to build Magic decks, and I try to tackle these Thunder Junction Commanders. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And I build up a first draft, and I hate it. So I build a second draft, and I hate it. And then I talk to friends, and I talk to Twitter. And then the third draft is like 80% the same, but that last 20 cards, I would not have ever figured out coming into this. Which is great. It's what makes Magic special. Highlight nice. To, what's her full name here?
Miriam Herd Whisperer.
Miriam Herd Whisperer. Okay. Gonna take on a bit of a journey here. She's just a Selesnya mana. She's a 3/2. If it's your turn, mounts and vehicles you control have hexproof, and whenever a mount or a vehicle you control's attack, put a counter on it. Mounts are the spiffy new little card type. They're basically creature vehicles. However, I had to look into this after a friend cued me into it. Mount is not like a mechanical theme. It's not a subtype. It's just a type affiliated with creatures. It's just a creature type. It's just a creature type. Saddle and Mount are completely disconnected. They're just there for, like, ludonarrative reasons. Which means Miriam wants to play a bunch of changelings.
Nice.
Miriam also wants to play vehicles. And if you're on a bunch of vehicles and you're on changelings, you're on both the TARDIS and Time Lords and Artisan.
Perfect.
Oh. Wow. Okay. I did not expect us to go that journey.
I'm all the way bought in.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did not know.
Yeah, her deck list looks sweet. It's just a bunch of changelings, and then you just start going beep beep and aggroing people down with a bunch of idiot cards. And then sometimes you get to do some time traveling. It's kind of neat.
That's actually pretty fucking cool.
What do the artifact tutors look like in that? I'm guessing, like, white mana is probably where you'd want to go to, like, find vehicles.
Yeah, you get... Vehicles are kind of hard to tutor for outside of blue, but you do get Enlightened tutor. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, sick. I didn't know that wasn't uncommon.
Yeah, I think that entire cycle was uncommon, I think, right?
Everything but Vampiric tutor in that cycle was uncommon.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Gamble, if you count that one, that's never been an uncommon. But we kind of got one.
Oh, yeah, because we got Nahiri's
reckless
handling. Yeah. That card is fucking sweet. I love that thing. Yeah, that's awesome. Did not expect... Like, I looked at Miriam and I'm like, how good could it possibly be? But then I'm like, low-key, like, looking over at you, being like, okay, you're talking about it. What's going on?
You're always talking about how you want to blow up my spaceship. I mean, now she's hexproof, so
fuck.
Dab on him.
This fucking sucks. I can't believe this. That's hilarious. I am going to go on a Fallout tangent now.
Hell yeah.
I have recently assembled my own personal Fallout Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, no one's laughing. All right.
I was waited so that you could continue because that is a phrase that definitely needs some additional context, my guy.
Okay, all right. So I put the photo of it on Twitter, and I think probably the only thing that could make it better if I had one of those, like, actual Pip-Boys you could strap to your arm, but I was never that kind of guy. So I recently got my... oh, fuck. Why am I blanking right now? I got my Democracy is Non-Negotiable playmat that has Liberty Prime on it with a giant nuclear explosion going on in the background. This thing's fucking sick. It looks awesome. Cool. I simultaneously had my second half of my Piper Wright order come in from Face-to-Face Games while... a package that I was expecting from Prophet of Ares showed up at the same time. So thank God that happened. I got a bunch of Fallout bling. It was awesome. It also allowed me to finalize the Piper Wright deck, which we'll get to in a second here. I now also have a tiny Securitron, a Funko Pop version of the T-45 Power Armor, and then a friend of mine had gifted me a T-60 Power Armor figurine, or like a statue, that I've been finally waiting to bust out, and now it's here, out in the open. So I'm like, and then I've also been playing a bunch of Fallout 4, and then also the Fallout show was fucking sick, start to finish. So highly recommend
this fucking
watching
Fallout boy over here.
Yeah, so, again, want to reiterate, I am the Fallout boy, and you're the Doctor Who Fae, and we come together, and it's the Heroes Play vibe check. So yeah, Fallout-wise, I'm fucking loving it. It's great. Let's talk about a Fallout deck. You did put together the Piper Republic Reporter deck that was basically a variation of Eisenhorn. I was called out by Gabe and Joel by being like, wait, is this the Eisenhorn deck? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. And they're like, well, Lamau, fantastic. All right. I had to kind of compromise here and there from what I originally mocked up on Moxfield before actually like purchasing stuff. And then also like what I had in my collection, and then also realizing in retrospect that Whispersilk Cloak basically nombos with Piper because you can't put +1 counters on her after she gets it. So it was like, all right, we do not have a stand-in for a Stealth Boy item from the games, so we will get rid of that. The tweaks that I made since I've got her just included more like ways to give her evasion, because she's gotten over 30 power in one of the games that I've had with her. Unfortunately, I couldn't do jack shit with it because I was just getting blocked. So yeah, now I have more, like, I got Artful Dodge, I got Distortion Strike, I put in Sorko Sailor like I originally intended to. But the deck is cracked, the stuff that I've been able to do with it. There's a lot of proliferate stuff. The fact that you could have Thrumming Bird and the radiated, like, Gull Wing.
It's like Vexing Radgull.
Vexing Radgull, there we go. I don't know why I was, like, mixing a bunch of those words up in my head.
Yeah, you were meme posting about those earlier today.
Yeah. So the fact that you have 2-drop birds that can proliferate on damage, or in the Radgull's case, give rad counters, which is a very cool mechanic. And then top it up with whenever you sacrifice a clue, you put a +1 counter on stuff, and you put in, like, Throne of Geth to sacrifice a clue token to put a +1 counter on her and then proliferate her. And you're like, wow, this is powerful magic. And then you end a game by casting Rise and Shine Overloaded in one turn when you have 13 clue tokens out. And then the next turn, you cast a 1-mana cantrip of who fucking cares into a double red storm, making them 6/6s, and then your opponents are like, I'm dead. And you're like, excellent. So this has been a really fun exercise of just kind of changing the script a bit. I haven't played it too many times. I think I've only played it 3 times. But the first couple times were pretty strong showings. And then just kind of showed me some of the things I would probably want to see more in it, hence the more evasion. And then the third game was basically a stomp. Nothing happened. That was the game that I had with you, Quinn, with Fitz and Joel the other night, where Fitz annihilated my ass for getting rid of his Windreader Sphinx.
Oh, yeah, those flyers. Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do about them.
So yeah, every time I was putting +1 counters on it, people were like, she's on the case! And I'm like, she's figuring out the mystery. We don't know how she's gonna get there yet, as she's at like 20 power. She's hulking out. I finally got a copy of Nerd Rage.
Oh, nice.
So I'm looking forward to giving her like evasion and then having more than 10 cards in my hand, and she gets +10/+10. So coming to a commander table near you very soon. Yeah, it's a good time. I think I'm going to love that deck a lot. And it will not go on the shelf for months on end, Fitz. I don't want to hear that from you.
Well, all right.
So yeah, let's go back to you two. Laura, what's your next story?
So I have also been facing the Fallout pre-cons, just within like casual pods.
Mm-hmm.
And no shame against Fallout. My familiarity with it is only the H-Bomber Guy videos, which I've seen about 5 times. The set looks really cool.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely. Back to back. It feels like a draft I wish I could have It feels like a set I wish I could have drafted, because I'm like, oh, junk tokens are so cool. Radiation's so cool.
You mentioned that to me, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta make like a 180 card cube of like Fallout cards.
I do have a really personal grievance against the Fallout Commander decks that is 100% a me hill, which is... The Doctor Who decks were really impressive. It's like, oh, these are all really strong, but they feel costed for what they're doing. And then I face the Fallout decks, and like, every single one of these cards is 1 mana more efficient than it was in the Doctor Who decks, and I am losing to this precon, and it's not at the level of how people look at precons anymore.
Some things have changed, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't want to yuck people's yums. It's really fun, but every time I face the decks, I'm like, I feel like I'm facing a deck just built by an enfranchised player, and you just busted this out of the box.
Would you compare these precons to maybe the Warhammer 40k ones?
I think that's pretty fair, but even the 40k ones, like, they took some time to get going, and every single Fallout precon is like, pedal to the metal, I'm killing you on turn 7.
Yeah, I was in a precon game with Bear Claymore and Eliana. Oh no, now I feel really bad for not remembering the other opponent. Oh, wait, oh my god, it was Megan from Infinite Tokens, obviously. Why am I forgetting that? That's super important. Buy Infinite Tokens. And we all were playing precons, and it was me playing the Caesar Legion deck, and Megan was playing... Oh god, what was she repping? She was repping Doctor Who, obviously. She was playing the Dalek deck. Eliana was playing the Eowyn Jeskai deck, and then Bear was playing the Black-White Party deck from Dungeons and Dragons. So we're like, all right, this truly was the Smash Bros of Magic the Gathering, but in precon form. But holy fuck, the amount of value that I was getting out of my deck. And everyone was like, holy fucking shit, Cole's just throwing cards out. And that probably best exemplifies your grievance with it, because I just had so many cards in my hand and so many creatures in play. And pretty cracked.
Yeah, they're complicated. I was in a pod with an actual factual judge friend who was playing just the dog meat deck, and she was like, fuck, messed up this line. Oops, gotta take this back. I'm like, this is a judge. These are complicated Magic cards at a very cheap cost. But the decks are cool. I can't really complain about cool Magic cards. I could only complain that I lose to them.
Big rude.
That's I can understand that. But yeah, they are very cool though. I'm very big excited about it. I do really want to sit down and like make a cube of like the less reprints and more like of the actual original cards in there, the better, especially anything that gives red counters or junk tokens, because I also really like junk tokens. I have a lot of high praise for them. They're very, very, very cool. But yeah.
I would love to see them come back in like the one Death Race set we're getting.
Oh, that would be sick.
The design space is too cool.
So good.
Also, radiation counters have really impressed me. I don't remember who pointed out, but I saw someone on Twitter mention that radiation counters or rad counters are basically just slow double strike. And having faced them a few times, I'm like, yeah, no, that really is how it is. Just the inevitability of the damage.
Because it's basically delayed damage if they hit permanents. Yeah, I thought about that. I'm like, this goal, like the Vexing Rad goal, it's like, okay, I deal you 1 damage and you get 2 radiation, but that 2 radiation couldn't convert into 2 damage.
You're going to lose 2 life, yeah. So it is basically like it hit for 3.
It's pretty sweet. And then, of course, the fact that you can proliferate the counters on people.
I need to play that Vexing Radgal in my blue-red poison tempo deck for Earthbreaker. I have a couple of
it'd probably fit in no problem. Yeah. Fallout, let's go. Quinn, what's up?
It's light stacks hours. Who up?
That's me. I'm up.
Yeah. So basically, gamers, there comes a time in every Magic the Gathering player's life where you are getting outvalued by other players, and you can either race the turbo mages or you can hold them at fun point and force them to play fair. And I am at a point in my life where I'm opting for path B, to hold them at fun point. So I'm out here playing a couple more stacks pieces, I think. We've got the dedicated aggro stack in Ultra Magnus on the 5 rule of laws or whatever. But shout out to rule of law in particular. I think that could maybe go in a couple of other decks. I genuinely feel like if you're just looking to play one big bomb per turn, which you usually are in the casual metagame, then the rule of law doesn't have as much of an impact on you as it does on people who are looking to play Apex Devastators and Atalis and
especially those goddamn Atalis.
Yeah, and just
Both
all kinds
of
of things that also do a bunch of other things when they enter the battlefield or when you cast them or whatever. And I'm just all right, I'm going to make you spend some removal on this rule of law, and then you can cook, and that will have tempoed you a bit. And that's the kind of thing that I think I'm trying to be on a little more of lately. I'm also playing Blood Moon, like we talked about earlier, to just if you don't have those basic lands, then you're not going to have the colors of mana that you wanted to have to do the things, which should slow you down. And that'll buy me time to play my little 8 to 10 turn game plan that I have. Honorable mentions to cards like Forsaken Wastes and Sudden Impact effects that turn off life gain and deal damage to gamers for the amount of cards in their hand. If you're being a greedy mage, trying to draw a bunch of cards, I like to laser you for it. And if you're trying to time walk me with life gain, undo the work that I've done as an aggro or burn mage by gaining enough life and then also doing other stuff on your turn, then that's indistinguishable from a time walk to me, and I gotta shut that down. So I do. And that's that's the way that I'm going to interact with those gamers on an axis that doesn't cause an arms race, ideally, because they don't feel like they need to play better and better cards to beat my stacks pieces. They just blow them up.
I mean, that's my goal. Fuck. I'm blowing up your TARDIS, I'm blowing up your stacks.
Yeah.
That entire sentiment just had me doing the clap emojis, going we stand a responsible gamer working within the game system to answer problems.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like you can't just complain about the things that tilt you in the game without actually taking some action against that. So those are effects that tilt me. Those are the effects that I'm playing to get around the things that tilt me. And if I don't have them when I need them, then that's fine. But I at least did my due diligence in packing it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like me blind obedience for at least the other filthy combat players that like playing red hasty creatures. Mm-hmm. But also I like having people have defenses down and really pick and choose when they're going to be putting their creatures out, or they just blow it up.
Yeah, shout out to OG Urabrask. I'm tapping those guys that you thought you were going to have come in untapped and be able to block or do haste with.
And mine are going to be super hasty. It's great.
We're going to combat. Beep, beep.
But yeah. Blood Moon.
It's good.
I'm
Play your
so glad.
Basics.
I'm so glad that more or less 40 to 50% of my mana bases are usually basics.
Good. I literally did post on Twitter I bought these Blood Moons, play your basics, I'm fucking warning you.
Pointing the gun to the back of your head, you motherfucker, play your basic lands. They're like, fuck you. They spit at you and you're like, all right, bet. Just cap
play
them.
the basics. I am no longer asking.
I will leave the final Fallout posting comment for me until... Well, oh god. No, it might just be the thing. All right, Bludger posting time instead. Let's do that.
Sounds good.
I had a friend of mine, Derek, who's been on the show before. He was in town for a visit, and we went out for lunchtime while I was at work. I have the type of work where you can just take like an hour and a half off work and you just have to still do the rest of your shift. It's great. After some of the recent comments of people being like, I don't understand how Audric works. It's been very validating where he's just like, no, that deck is fucking super awesome and it fucking slaps. Cause like he and I have been playing Magic for like 13 years and like around the Christmas time visit that we had, everyone at that table was like, oh dear God, no, Cole, stop, what are you doing? And it's just, it's gotten more and more insane. And yeah, I put in some new Thunder junction spells, trying out a few new spree spells because they seem to kind of fit what I'm looking to do. Getaway Glamour is like a flicker and a removal spell. Requisition Raid is a Sorcery Speed Wear and Tear plus, which is pretty sweet. I got a win. I got a win the other night, where if I didn't kill my opponent, he was definitely going to get me, and I won with a Generous Plunderer. So you want to punish one of the fun things that I didn't really realize, because I'm just so used to these cards that kind of give like the proverbial upside to your opponents, like, oh, you get a tap treasure token or whatever. It is a May ability, so you can just have a 2-mana 2/2 with Menace that just fucking slaps someone in the face for playing all their 2-mana rocks in a row.
I actually really like Generous Plunder. I was just posting on Twitter the other day, like, dying to Generous Plunder AMA, because I was actively dying to that. I was playing my Jeskai TARDIS deck and barfing artifacts onto the battlefield for free with the Cascade, and then Generous Plunder came down and just like, all right, well, you've been sinning, so get burnt, and I fucking died to it.
Sack your treasure tokens or else.
I had mana rocks. They were not going anywhere.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, no, I know.
Me.
But that's... Sorry. Oh, you're playing Dockside Extortionist? That's cute. Die.
I would never.
I know you wouldn't. I'm talking about every other filthy Magic player.
Yeah, everybody else who is on that Goblin Pirate.
And let's see. What else did I put in there?
I'm just looking at the Generous Plunder alt art, which looks like some fiery scarecrow from a Batman comic, and that goes so hard. I want to see that across a playmat.
I do really like the look of that card. I didn't end up pre-ordering one because I don't have a slot for it, but I do want I want to see that on the battlefield, and I want to have it. I think.
I think that could probably go in Mr. Fitzy Fitz's heavy metal deck, maybe the alt art.
Yeah, that's pretty metal. We could take a look at that.
I'll ask him. And then I put in let's see, One Last Job, because that just seems pretty good for a Reanimator spell.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in my Hinata Reanimator deck.
I just picked up a foil version of the Angel of the Ruins Doctor Who Secret Lair. And that thing looks pretty in foil. It looks really good. So just more bling there. And then I just as soon as I put in back in Sun Titan, I have made the decision to swap it out for Angel of Indemnity. Because I think it's kind of sweet.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It's got the Encore on it, I think, which is interesting, and then the regular ETB when you cast it the first time. There's a lot going on for that that's pretty solid. I think it'll be cool to see that in the deck for as long as you have it in there.
Two keywords. It's got evasion, it's got lifelink. When it ETBs, you get a mana value of up to 4 that you could return to the battlefield. So that means I can get back my Krog Clan Ironworks, I can get back Rose Cutthroat Raider, I can get back Teleportation Circle. So that's pretty sweet. And then Encore for 8 is not actually terribly hard for me to do in that deck. So being able to bring 3 things back and gain back 15 life on the attack seems pretty good.
Pretty
that'll
big
definitely
life point swing.
Yeah, exactly. That'll swing things in your favor quite a bit.
So yeah, Bloodrick posting continues, and yeah, at first I was pretty reluctant about adding stuff because I wasn't sure how many things I would end up doing, but including like the 1-drop goblin that you can stack to make a treasure and draw card, like made the cut. Like that's kind of good this set is.
So rewinding slightly, hopping in the TARDIS here. Yeah. I have a comment on Angel of Ruins, and I would like to invite you all to join the madness that is me trying to keep track of how WotC does downshifts.
Yeah.
So, there was exactly one new downshifted card in the Outlaws for Thunder Junction's commander decks, and it was specifically Angel of the Ruins, and gun to my head, I cannot tell you why it's the only one. At some point, they just stopped doing the previous patterns, which means nowadays, whenever they drop new commander sets, I'm like, hey, let's look at what the uncommons are manually. But Angel of the Ruins is now artisan legal, which I'm very excited for. I think it might be one of those final pieces to actually make a black-white reanimator deck feasible. Because it's always one of those decks that's on the cusp of being viable. And then you look at the reanimation targets and you're like, well, I don't have my Achromas. Well, I don't have my Avacins. What am I supposed to do here? And Angel of the Ruins gets
6/6 swamp
us ever
cyclers.
closer. Let's go.
Yeah, the fact that it can get you can plain cycle it and then reanimate it later to get rid of 2 really terrible things on your opponent's side is like really good.
I have
It's also
always
just like a
loved that.
5/7. Who
Yeah,
is
yeah, that's
barely
big.
attacking through
It's
that?
good. It's got good stats. Like you're like, oh yeah, it's like 7 mana 5/5 or maybe like a 7 mana 6/6 at most, and they're like, split the difference 5/7. You're like, all right, awesome, sick. I love this. It's an artifact. It's creature. Yeah, it kind of does everything. I do really like that card. It saved my ass so many times. I should put that in the Furia deck.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. That's a great reanimation target on that.
I need to take a copy of your deck and just translate it to Artisan, because I have thoughts on it. It's just been in my head ever since I faced it. And I'm like, but I remember
you had such a mixed opinion on it initially, because you're like, oh, it's 5 mana, and it's double white and black, I think.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, that's rough. And then I'm like, check this shit out. Da, 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 da. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
I'm just like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, you're telling me I could play 15 2-mana rocks, and it fills my graveyard, and lets me cast my reanimation cards on curve and ahead of curve? Maybe there's something here. I just need to be a greedy Magic player and fully commit.
It's time to put Charcoal Diamond and Felwar Stone and whatever new 2-mana rock that does other weird stuff and Intercept. I don't know. Like, you have a lot of options to work with.
Yeah, we have to put the green decks to shame. That's the goal.
You're ramping an artisan. Check this out. All right. God, why do I always put so many stuff on this list? Let's just go through really quickly here. I didn't talk about my March games that I was keeping track of, but I was just going to break down to this simply. I played 35 games last month, and I calculated, or roughly counted, 81 unique commanders with some minor doubles or triples of them showing up. So there were a few Kroms, there were a few Ludovics, and so on and so on. So being able to see 81 unique commanders across a bunch of games was super cool. Overall, I played less 3 and 5 player games, so compared to last month, I'm not complaining about that as much. And because people are actually showing up to these outings. Nice. And then I did manage to play only the one game of Killer Queen, which was with Benoit, where he completely, absolutely annihilated the graveyard with the Cryptics. But I did take that out for the 3-mana artifact that makes a bat token whenever a creature leaves your graveyard.
Desecrated Tomb?
Desecrated, yes. Yeah, I put in Desecrated Tomb because I'm like, this is a thing, you can get a bat token out of it. That seems fun. And I'm also going to be putting in a Surveil filter land and the 3 desert lands from Thunder Junction in there, because I want to sort of round out the mana base of Killer Queen, where you have to make decisions with your mana base. Like, if you're keeping a hand or not, it's like, does the land enter tapped and tap for 2 mana? Okay, but what else does it do? Do you Surveil? Do you Scry? Do you deal 1 damage to an opponent? And now that the life totals are down to 25, it does kind of like up the pace a little bit. So that was sort of, I'm going to see how those work out on taking out the cycle monocolor lands. So like Forgotten Cave and whatever the swamp is, I can't remember. Hoping to get more games with that deck soon, but who knows? We'll see.
One of these days, I will play this Killer Queen.
I hope so. Then the other night, had another big Commander outing in person. This is something that we've been doing every couple of weeks with me and some friends. Sometimes I'm not able to go out just because of like the timing of if it's Wednesday and I gotta go deep a few cities, like hours away, and I don't drive and I have to take like public transit for commute, and getting back home is just basically miserable. I'll be dead the next day. I don't go out, but I got to go out because it was the weekend. Yay! And we played a bunch of games. Everyone's shooting the shit, talking about Magic. But it's also been reminding me that there's been certain demographics, and it's something that I did want to talk about this episode, and I kind of took it away and I put it kind of the topic here. Quinn, you've been playing since War of the Spark.
A little after that, Throne of Eldraine.
Throne. Okay. Laura, how long have you been playing?
I played a lot of Kitchen Table up until Guilds of Ravnica, and then Guilds of Ravnica is when I became like an LGS junkie.
Okay. But that was 5-6 years ago? No. Yes.
God, I'm no Santa Claus gift came out right now. It was like 2 sets before War of the Spark.
Yeah. Okay. So that was
pretty close.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that was 5 and 6 years ago. The kind of the demographic that I'm playing with right now, in that pod is that I have like people like Joel, and some of his buddies who have been playing pretty much since Magic came out or just after Magic came out in the 90s. And then maybe they took breaks or they kept kind of in and out of it or whatever. And then we have some people who haven't played Commander yet and have only been playing Commander for like the last year. So they've had to adjust from their old 1v1 mentality to like multiplayer. And so they're like, there's someone we're playing with who has a Slivers deck because he just had a bunch of old Slivers.
Of course.
It's like, cool. And so you got to do it. And then everyone's like, yeah, but like, it's Slivers, so we got to put you in your place. So,
but they don't know that yet. Oh no.
So now he is also learning that there's very obviously a social give and take, and he's dived right in to Magic content and reading people's like explanations of why either Commander players are the biggest, most entitled people ever, or like the actual ones where it's like, hey, here's the social nuances of the cards that are quote unquote socially banned or not socially acceptable, and why they don't ban it, but why people self-correct kind of thing. And he's like, I get it. I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay. He's like, the Slivers deck is not appropriate for all games, and if it is appropriate, I will bust it out, but otherwise I will be trying to explore other decks and other themes and try to get used to that. And I'm like, okay, good.
Hell yeah.
And then you have the people who have only been playing Magic within the last, I don't know, 2 to 6 months.
Wow, you got some brand new gamers.
So it is really, like, these guys are like dads. They're like 30 or 40-year-old dads who are like, I've never played Magic the Gathering in my life. And that guy over there indoctrinated me into it. And I'm like, welcome aboard.
Welcome, you're playing and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, you're playing Commander? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, fuck. Commander is not the tool you use. to teach a person how to play Magic the Gathering, but he's also playing like Arena and stuff, so it's not like a complete.
I feel like as a supplement to Arena, it's fine because, like, yeah, sure, there's a lot going on, but also you have people who they've got the like teacher personality and are willing to take the time to step you through everything that's going on and ensure that you understand the like complex board states and shit that we get up to. Like, people like to talk about how there's like always too much going on or whatever to teach new players, but if you just take the time with them, they can follow along.
And he also his precon, one of the first precons he's had is the Hackball deck.
Oh, nice.
So we are like, I'm like, okay, Cole, you have to put your anger aside for Hackball, and you have to help them. I'm like, all right.
So go here's how you kill me.
Yeah. Basically what it came down to. And then so like that one guy was playing. He's been playing basically for like 2 or 3 months, which is like pretty impressive. And he's probably playing like the most like mentally intensive of like, okay, I got to explore 50 times. How do I resolve this? And blah, blah, blah. And then another guy showed up, and he'd been playing since summer last year, and he's doing a pretty good job. And he probably like dove right in way deeper than the other guy. So he was already shooting the shit with me about like, oh, you're playing Agent Frank Horrigan. I'm like, oh yeah, and all this other stuff. And he was playing a mono red deck with some of the most jank shit I've ever seen. And his commander was Plarg and Nasari. And he's like,
that's a good card.
I don't know what my win con is. I will try to assemble a win con from you all. And we're like,
yeah, I was just going to say, you don't need a win con with that deck. You just steal someone else's.
And then that was a pretty good game, and just overall like the games were pretty good that night. I will shout out the Benoit because someone was playing the Flip Jin Gataxias,
nice,
and he was being a certified villain as expected.
You don't put a Praetor in the command zone and be like, oh, but I'm the nice guy. No.
Yeah. So, he had a, not Dynavolt Tower. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. Aetherflux Reservoir. So he was fighting for his goddamn life. There was one other guy who was sitting there at 2 life, just trying his best. And then we had Joel playing his, Valky/Tybalt Walls deck. Where he played walls. He played walls, and then he only casts the Tybalt side, and just starts taking other people's stuff while he has a giant stack of walls in play.
Okay, that's actually hilarious.
That deck is something else, but it was even more hilarious is that the 1v1 at the end of that big game with the poor player at 2 life just hanging out on the side was Joel with the Walls deck against the Jin Gataxis deck, and they were both like gaining life and doing all this other stuff, and they were like, all right, how do I get out of this? That game went on for like 2 goddamn hours. We all got up from our game and just surrounded the table. We're just like, what the fuck is going on here? It was, oh god, it was a good time. We were like, holy shit, this is going. You guys, you're still going? All right, we're gonna order pizza. You still going? What the fuck is going on over here? And then eventually, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Joel won that game just through sheer attrition.
Yeah, the degree of card advantage that Valky provides is fucking incredible and pretty hard to match, especially considering that you're ripping those really good cards from the Jin Gataxis player.
Excuse me, sip of water. All right. Last Fallout post, and then we could probably call it for this episode. Unless something else comes up, which is not not unexpected. Alright, so, after some initial gameplay of the Frank Horrigan deck, we get backed up by, like, 5 Vraskas, a Garrick Wildspeaker, and, like, a Nissa Genesis Mage, or whatever the hell her name is. It's pretty nuts. However, unfortunately, I was never, in one particular game, I was playing with Fitz. He was keeping Horrigan out of play for a long time. I just wasn't able to protect him or give him haste or anything. However,
and he's right to do that. If you land Horrigan, you do pretty much like, if you get to attack with him, you kill someone.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so in that one particular game, I have never seen 2 Wheel of Misfortunes cast in a single game, but I've also never seen 2 Wheel of Misfortunes deal a collective of, like, I don't know, 38 damage.
What the fuck happened?
Oh my lord.
So the first Wheel of Misfortune went off, and I was playing, I think it was me, Gabe, Prophet, and Fitz. And the first one goes off, and Fitz and Prof, I guess, like, psychically linked their minds and both chose 12.
They really wanted those cards. Well, I mean, that's to be expected.
Yeah. Fitz and card draw, hand in hand. And then, it wasn't me, but someone else cast Wheel of Misfortune or flashed it back or did something. And I think Prof he chose 14, which we were like, what are you fucking doing?
Why are you doing this?
We all chose really high numbers. I think even none of us chose 0 on both modes. One of us, the lowest we went, I think, was 4 or 3, and everyone else chose, like, wildly increasing numbers up to, like, the 12 or 14. So we were just like, what the fuck is going on here? This is why I love Wheel of Misfortune, when everyone knows what the fucking assignment is. And people are like, cool, I'll take, like, over a third of my life. Like, no big deal. And I'm like, all right, crazy. Now, part of that game was that I managed to get everyone's life totals down a couple times by casting, sacking, and reanimating a Dire Fleet Ravager.
My beloved pirate wizard. I love that
Orc pirate wizard. He's so fucking cool. So yeah, I don't think I won that game. Let me just double check my spreadsheet, because I had that game somewhere. But yeah, it was pretty fun, and I'm like, it's not every day. Oh no, I did win that game. Yeah, when you start slashing someone's life total from 40 of basically being untouched to about 13 or under 13 after like 2 ETBs or whatever, it was like, all right, it's time to lock the fuck in and let's abuse this goddamn beautiful orc wizard pirate to victory. And it worked out.
I did something similar in that game with you the other day, where I had the Sycorax commander.
Yeah. That was
so
brutal.
I'm playing my Grixis Owling Mind deck, which we all know, force cards into opponents' hands, punish them for having cards in their hands. So I cast the Sycorax Commander, which gives them the villainous choice of discard your hand and draw that many cards -1, or you can take damage equal to the number of cards in your hand. And everybody chose to take damage equal to the number of cards in their hand. And then I did it again by casting a Cursed Mirror the turn after. And nobody was prepared for that.
No, we were not. Fitz was so pissed. He's like, no, but the cards I want to draw are killing me. And he's like, yes, suffer.
And then I immediately followed up with casting from the Hideaway the Vicious Shadows. And it was just like, all right, well, I have laid a gun on the table, answer it. And you immediately did, of course. But man, it was good while it lasted.
Yeah. The only notes that I made for that particular thing and that I added immediately right after the double Wheel of Misfortune game was a Hall the Bandit Lord into the deck. Because I'm like, well, if I'm going to be casting Frank Horrigan, my beloved, I'm going to be putting in a Hall the Bandit Lord. And I can't remember.
How else are you going to get haste in those colors?
And I can't remember if I did find another Swiftfoot Boots for him or not, but I was kind of like, it's fine. Because that particular game with your Owling Mind deck, I was like, hey, Quinn, how does over 30 Frank Horrigan damage sound to you?
It's just like, sounds like I'm fucking dead.
So, that particular game, the start was slow. I didn't have all the resources I needed, but I started putting out, like, Kami of the... whatever the heck the thing is, the mana dork that also adds +1 counters, and then I realized that it when you start proliferating
your
with
math
stuff,
was all fucked up on that.
I was like, what the fuck? And you're like, bro, you are forgetting that you're basically doubling the counters. And I'm like, fuck. And then I started to figure out what the hell I was doing. And then after I took you out, I had a very big bloatfly swarm that I was like, okay, how do I do this even better? Which resulted in me playing a Frank Horrigan, proliferating my stuff twice, sacrificing him to... Yeah, I don't fucking remember what it was at that point, but I didn't care, because then I cast a Dread Return or something, and brought him back again to get the Bloatfly to, like, big. And then I had Unnatural Growth?
Yeah.
I had Unnatural Growth out, and then I hit Fitz with a giant, 30-some-odd Bloatfly swarm. And then I looked at Gabe at a 1v1, and he's like, I don't have anything, you got it. I'm like, alright, fine.
Yep.
He's like, I'm just fucking with you, you got it. I'm like, okay, good. But yeah, Frank Horrigan has... Frank Horrigan is one of those cards that I was initially apprehensive to play. And build a deck around, because I've been struggling to find out a Golgari deck that kind of really works for me. But I think it's the 7 mana criteria that feels like he's worth keeping around and feeling justified that the mana value is that high. He's fucking strong. It's kind of ridiculous.
He's every bit the final boss character that he apparently is in the games.
And then some. But yeah, so I think I tweaked some things. The initial games that I had, I tweaked some things, and then I tweaked them a little bit more before the big game night out, which then inevitably ended up in the late night games that I had with you and Fitz and Gabe. But I feel like it's in a comfortable spot in terms of what I want to expect out of that deck. And if people also are like, wow, you're a villain, fucking die, I'll be like, well, I've done this to myself. I have no one to blame but me. And yeah, it's a good time, though. It's been a good time recently playing different decks that are not just Odric Bloodcurse. I was going to say, so far this month in April, I've only played Odric once out of 13 games.
We love a king
Odric
with a varied
posting.
palette. Yeah.
Yes, I've gone more on Bloodric posting than actually Bloodric playing. I did win that game though. Go figure.
Is this a new hashtag? Hashtag Bloodric playing, and it's just screenshots of when you actually play him.
I've done that. I've absolutely done that. I'm like, check out this board state, and everyone's like, Cole, what the fuck, man? I'm like,
what are you cooking? And then you're like, okay, so here's this thing that interacts with this thing, and then I can sacrifice these blood tokens and do this thing. And we're all just like, I'm so glad you're having fun, sweetie.
Just pat on the back, like, all right, good job, keep going. What the fuck is going on with that guy?
What is he cooking? They just don't see the vision.
I know. It's always been the funniest thing of just having... I'll come to you every episode. I'm like, Quinn, this is what I did. And you're like, hell yeah. And I go to other people and they're like, what the fuck is this? What is happening? And I'm like, don't worry about it. Wizards, please downshift it so Lara can do something with it in Artisan.
God,
witness
please.
The light of Bloodric.
I could do so much.
I know you can.
I do have a tangent here before stuff settles too much.
Lovely.
Perfect.
Go for it.
Okay. So, crimes have been on everyone's mind, right? Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Everyone's trying to figure out how to break crimes because they put the once per turn restriction on it so that people wouldn't break them. And let me tell you, they are a headache to figure out because, as it turns out, Magic has not ever cared about just ambiguously targeting either an opponent or their stuff. So it feels a little bit like some of the tech feels really clever. You're like, oh, like Withered Wrench. It just has pay 1, exile target card from a graveyard. Awesome. That's a crime every turn. Let's go. But then the real tech is these weird old cards, like Eater of the Dead, which I will not go into. I had to talk to multiple judges about this. It gave me a headache. However, there's just a bunch of weird old cards with 0 activated abilities that keep the board state in the same state it was before. And it makes you feel like you found the magic equivalent of the backwards lawn jump, just to jump through these hoops just to get one more crime trigger per turn. Yeah. I was like, this feels ridiculous. And it's like, on one hand, it's great. On the other hand, it's the most just trust me it works I've ever seen when it comes to magic cards. And I love that for the mechanic.
You're just like, this is my 5 mana vanilla air quotes beater, and it's got this activated ability, and it's going to generate a crime every turn, and that's what it does.
I was like, oh, what's the crime? Well, the crimes too, they're literally just like that one indicate magic meme where you just point at something and it's like, point at it.
Yeah.
Crime.
Yeah.
Do it again.
This one prevents the next 1 damage that would be dealt to target creatures, so I can activate that at any time.
Was it like the Vindicate? Or it was Indicate. Yeah, it was Vindicate. And it was just, you erase the V and it's Indicate. And it's like target creature or target permanent. And you're like, yeah, that was it.
Mechanically, now a crime.
Yep.
True, yes. Was this research for your Lazov Familiar Stranger brew?
It sure was. The deck list is strange, and I don't know how it will perform in actual games, because when your win con is, well, I put 5+1/+1 counters on my commander, and then I turn him into a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Like, I guess that gets there.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the shit that we're really here for, though, is just being like, okay, so this is Lazov Familiar Strange. That's it. Like, that's the deck title.
Yeah.
Like, and then you're just like, all right, so I ambiguously point at things once per turn, and Lazov gets really big, and maybe his face changes a little bit here and there, and then I crush you to death with, like, commander damage or something.
Oh yeah, it's the cutest deck for includes, though. The deck's on Mole Drifter because it's a divination that gives Lazov flying in the late game, which is just delicious.
Nice.
Like, the deck tickles my fancies on so many levels, but then trying to goldfish it is like, does this win games? Is this good enough? I have 0 idea. The cards are doing stuff, but... Ugh.
You're like, so, I know that there are valid targets in play, but,
You gotta just trust that you have accounted for everything that you needed to in the spreadsheet sort of aspect of that, and then trust yourself as a brewer and take that shit to the game.
Mm-hmm.
But also, eventually, like, actually have those games and be like, all right, it's time to put this theory crafting to the test. And then you're like, It doesn't matter how many crimes I commit, I lose the game.
So speaking of Lazov and crimes, though, on a similar trend to, like, it feels like you're doing the magic equivalent of, like, clipping through Collision to figure out just how to commit more crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, weird old original legendary land cycle from Legends, Tolaria and Urborg.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those are crimes. You can just target creatures without banding or without Swamp Walker for strike. It doesn't do anything. You just target them.
I definitely play Urborg. Not that Urborg, but the Urborg we're talking about here. That one in my Rats deck. And every time I play that, it's like, here's this Urborg. And then everybody's like, oh, cool, swamps. And I'm like, no, not that one.
Yeah. It's so cute. One of these days, I'll get someone with removing their Swamp Walk and gonna be feeling so smug about it.
Someone's gonna throw out, like, the OG, shit, what's her name? One of the paraders, the black one.
Oh, Shelly?
Yeah. Get old Swamp Walk Shieldred.
Just be like, she actually no longer has Swamp Walk thanks to my Urborg here. And I'll feel extremely smart, and they'll be like, you're really playing that? And I'll have to say yes.
Yes, and then you'll also have to point and be like, I've also committed a crime.
Trigger Caravac.
Yeah, I know that there's 2 things really going on with the Thunder Junction thing coming out. Is that there's all the Yeehaw Cowboy rootin' tootin' jokes, and then there's the I've committed a crime jokes. And let's not get ourselves here. The committing a crime bit is going to be really funny. As long as people...
It is going to be pretty funny.
As long as people commit to the bit and actually do perform crimes.
I mean, I think they will. The payoffs seem pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think we just mentioned, like, Karavek in particular. A lot of people are interested in the card advantage that provides. I do think that looks a lot like the mono black, that one Umezawa with the
Teshiro Umezawa, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Toshiro.
Looks a lot like that deck, which is kind of just like killspells.deck, so I don't know how engaging that's going to be for very long, but I'm sure gamers can find a way to make that deck actually, like, have legs beyond nobody has creatures.
So, okay, there's something I've been thinking about, and it came up with a game last night that I had with Megan and Fernando and Eliana. I don't know how many of these kill spells with upside exist, but there was one kill spell in the Dalek deck that was literally just exterminate.
Oh, yeah. Kill a thing and its controller loses 3.
Yeah, so when you're talking about a murder variant that is sorcery speed, that like, oh, you can replicate it if you tap it on tap Dalek, which like, whatever. If you're able to start multiply casting Terminate or anything else that might be able to like also force your opponents to lose life, I feel like maybe that might have some legs if you're able to just like start killing people's things while also making them lose life. Who knows? I might actually just pick up an Exterminate for me.
Exterminate is actually good, especially if you have Daleks to replicate it with. I like to tap that and repeatedly say Exterminate in the Dalek voice because you gotta commit to the bit.
Exterminate!
Yeah, exactly.
It reminds me of Unlicensed Disintegration, which is the Rakdos instant speed one that deals damage if you control an artifact when you destroy someone's creature. I just like kill spells with upside that does things.
Mm-hmm. It feels real good to get a little, like, benefit with your crime.
But yeah. Karavek and Toshiro grasping hands coming to a table near you for your suffering.
There it is, yeah.
I'm waiting for the Tomer update deck being like, so hey, it's me, Budget Commander, here to commit more crimes than usual today. Put that Karavek in there. What's gonna happen? Yeah,
you just got me thinking. Oh, with the Omen paths being opened up, give all your crack magic OTPs. They're no longer crack magic OTPs. They could. Yeah,
that's what everyone's saying about like Jace and Chandra's moms and stuff. You know, it's like, look, let's do a brief Omen Pass discussion about the greater Magic universe now that all of them are open and everything. I know that there are a lot of people that have story or lore grievances with Thunder Junction for everyone and their grandma showing up on the plane with a cowboy hat in tow and being like, we're here. However, the potential is through the roof in terms of guest appearances, and I am here for it.
Truly, do not be upset about the people being here. Simply harvest the free shipping material. That is my command to you, gamers.
Look, this is not the first time that I've discussed shipping on any version of a podcast that I've been doing. Because we had the great shipping fanfiction discussion with Light, Elle, and Alice.
Mm-hmm.
About Liliana. We
don't need to get into what that was about.
Go listen to that episode. You can figure it out for yourself. But like, look, we've been there. We've done that, you know, and the potential is now again through the roof, and we're just going to see what happens.
Yeah. Imagine who your faves are that you want to hold hands, and they can do that through the Omen Paths now.
Yep. But first, we got to stop up in the furry plane.
Yeah, we got to see what's good in Bloomborough.
Also, Modern Horizons 3 is out in like a month and a half or something, or less.
Oh, is that this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's coming up.
Well, alrighty then.
It's killing me. I want to know what in the world snow-covered wastes get used for.
Nerds,
It's like,
probably.
it's double niche. What is it?
The fucking extra planar lens tech. Nobody's touching these. I guarantee you don't have snow-covered wastes.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves yet, because we have not seen anything besides those lands, the new Emrakul, a Johnny, and I don't know, that's it? I think that's it.
He's looking good on that new art, too. Shout out to whoever painted that.
I didn't expect to see him again so soon, even a past version of him. Thought that man was wallowing in self-pity for being completed.
No time for that. Too busy being mad hot.
I'm just waiting for his redemption arc where he comes back with a cool cyborg arm and realizes he has to use what the gifts he's been given, even if he doesn't like them.
Oh, yes. Give me more of that. That's the content I want to stick a straw directly into and slurp that all the way up.
So anyway, Johnny Silverhand shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, wake the fuck up, kitty cat. We got a multiverse to save. And then, anyway, all
right, it's time to get in the TARDIS.
We need to leave. We need to leave. It's over. Laura, thank you for coming on and joining us for this incredibly long episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Where can people find you, and what are you all about, and what do you do, and all that shit?
So, hi, I'm Laura. If you haven't picked up on it, I play Artisan a lot, which is doing regular EDH themes, but I don't look at the rares or mythics, and still try hard the heck out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Twitter, or the website previously known as Twitter, formerly known, that's the one, as Technicolored Mime. I'm also posting deck lists on Moxfield a lot if you ever want to take a look, and I respond if you ever are curious about my choices and want to question my life's decisions.
Not all of them, just the cardboard-based ones.
Just specifically the Magic the Gathering ones. I await...
Oh, absolutely.
I await the next time that you're sitting there and being like, you know what's a fucked up Magic the Gathering card? It's in an uncommon from a set that I've never heard of before. And you're like, this is fucked up. Everyone's like, what? And you're like, trust me. I know. And then you have to be in the headspace. You have to know.
There's this uncommon from Prophecy that does this thing with this card, and then you're just like, all right, cool.
And then you go,
boy.
And then you also go, Angel of the Ruins is downshifted, and everyone's like, oh, holy shit.
Oh boy, now I feel obligated to say a fucked up uncommon from some weird Magic set.
No pressure.
If you don't know Dream Tides, look it up. You'll ruin a playgroup with it.
Alright, let's take a look at that.
Alright, let's commit psychic damage to ourselves one last time.
Yeah, that is an
Okay, so
enchantment.
this is from Visions, not Prophecies. It's 2 blue. It's an enchantment. Creatures don't untap during their controller's untap step. Mm-hmm. Each non-green creature's controller may pay an additional 2 during his or her untap to untap that creature.
Oh, so if you're mages in particular.
Absolutely. You got Elf Ball, you got Big Green Stompy. They just don't get to untap anymore. At least they're creatures. And everything else now has to be taxed. So if you are a hater of the combat step, this is a 50-cent uncommon from Visions. And it's an enchantment, so...
And if you're a combat hater, you're a coward and I don't respect you. We're a bunch of filthy combat mages on this podcast. You fucking hear me?
We are some filthy combat mages, and Dream Tides would absolutely ruin my plans, so you probably are supposed to play it against me or whatever.
I'd hate it for sure. Ugh.
Oh, but I'm a Grixis mage, so you're right. I can't touch that, basically. I need to counter it on the stack, or it's too late.
You gotta feed the Swarmant.
Yeah, my one option in the entire game of Magic the Gathering. Well, I have like 3 now.
You have the Beholder. You're fine.
Yeah, we've got some options.
Quinn, where can we be found?
You can find me personally on Twitter at GirlDickEnergy. You can find Cole at UncommonCMDRMTG. And you can find us together at HBVC_MTG. And all of that's on the Bird app or the X app or whatever. And apparently we have a Blue Sky or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have a Blue Sky. Other than that, find us where podcasts are sold. I think that's it for us gamers.
We will see you in 2 weeks for other various crimes.
Hell yeah.
This has been your captain speaking. We hope you've had a good flight. See you, everyone.